So at the moment I find it really good, to be honest. We have a good relationship with being able to pick the phone up to the fisheries officers, and really there's an understanding that it's a very dynamic process, you know, and if there's a problem with the fishery, they'll explain to us, look, this is why it's like this. We've been really happy with the management of it.
To be honest with you, I think they run very well. That's the first thing I'd like to say. I really don't have any major concerns or problems.
I think it's just stayed the same. It's worked well since I've been there. I've been there 15, 16 years, and every year slightly different, but it seems to work. Works well.
It's been managed very successfully. With the industry as a highly sustainable fishery, with MSC accreditation. Right. And again, as I say, we can talk and talk and talk, but if it's not broken, why would you want to change it?
Well, my biggest fault there is that it's too closed shop, if you like. It's a great fishery as it stands at the minute for 14 people, effectively.
Well, I think the surveying needs to be something that needs to be worked on. I don't understand why the fishers insist on using the silly little dredge when they can't find cockles. They use a boat, and they need to spend more time on the boats with us during the season, because that's how you time the ground when you see how much cockles are on there. They don't know. They just look and find the computer and think, oh yeah, that's it. So don't spend enough time at sea with us to understand when there's cockles on the ground, and then they can't survey grounds properly because they don't have the equipment.
If we're going to get a licence, whether we are or not, we can't really compete with the big boys that got the dredges. So we need different areas, or we need different times to fish it. Because I've seen them dredges and they tow fast. I wouldn't be able to get out of their way in time. So I don't know if you could include something like that in it to, for the small boats that are non-suction dredges to.
My only concern with the TEFCO at the moment, from my own personal view, it feels as though it has been a closed shop regarding any new entitlements being issued. So all in all, the management seems to be working, it's just that part where nobody can seem to come in. Regarding the flexible permit area, I feel since the bylaw introduction, viability has been reduced to a minimum. When you consider over the last 10 years, there has been very few fishing opportunities available, with many years only 1 day's fishing allocated over its term. For fishermen like myself to pay a licence fee of £1,000 plus, vessel fuel and travel costs to the Thames, port and unloading fees, there really is very little left from 1 day's catch for any profit.
It is to allow for other fisheries as well as cockles. So we have a big issue at the minute. One of our guys is trying to open up a clam fishery that's within the TEFCO area, and it doesn't allow for us to be able to do that.
I think it'd be a good idea to probably put quotas on it, because if like an area's opened up, it'll get wiped out in no time. So if you put a quota on it, so you can't take that much out of that bit of ground. I mean, we're obviously not going to catch that much, with small boats. It's the same sort of thing.
I think it's some consideration for the smaller boats in the estuary to have a chance at fishing for cockles would be beneficial to the rest of the fleet. Not just half a dozen big boat corporations, businesses, whatever you want to call it. It would be a fairer crack for everybody really that's got an under 10 metre fishing boat.
Yeah, again, I'll go off my notes. I think Kent and Essex IFCA should consider bringing the TEFCO and the outside area bylaw maybe into one new combined regulating order. Within a new combined regulating order, there can be different management policies for each area. Apart from the issue of new entitlements, the TEFCO has run quite well, so could continue in a similar way. If both areas are combined, then the TAC from both could be combined into one TAC. I really do feel you should prioritise a regulating order over a bylaw. A bylaw can only be for 6 years maximum before it has to be reviewed, where an order could again be for 30 years. Using an order gives more stability to the industry stakeholders to invest in the fishery for the long term. A long-term plan of 30 years will ensure fisher stakeholders to invest in their vessels and equipment. Also, new sciences that may become available will be more accessible. To maintain vessels and equipment costs more and more each year, And with a long-term plan of 30 years, you will have the confidence to do so. Also, if loans are needed, they will be more accessible with a 30-year order against a 6-year bylaw. Having a longer management mechanism will also give fisher stakeholders more passion to look after their fishery, as they know they will be involved long term.
Social and economic issues, number one. I think it has to be social and economic, what's going to benefit the community, local people. Yeah, I think that's what it's got to be. Social and economic drivers behind it all, rather than track records, this, that and the other, because that's basically destroyed the fishing industry.
I mean, primarily, at the minute, the fishery's a very safe fishery. The boats are very well invested in. The crews are very well trained. They understand the job. The grounds can be dangerous in areas, and the guys know the grounds very well.
Consideration needs to be the environmental consideration, of course. I think with the MSC accreditation that we got, I think it's vital that we preserve that. That's going to be hugely important for the industry, right from us guys, harvesting the cockles all the way through to selling the cockles to the final consumer. I mean, all the way through. That's a transparency that we really need, and an accountability that we need in the industry.
Is if those areas could be opened up to a very small fishery, as in, say, I don't know, a ton a boat a week or something. I think it would be unwise to allow more suction licences.
Well, for starters, you should earn your money from fishing. No part-timers. We've got enough of them as it is. Licences should only be issued to people that actually earn their living from it. End of story.
If it were me divvying them out, I would certainly be looking for the next generation of fishermen, because at the moment you've not got that coming through. So that's a fact. You're hitting a dead end at the moment. You're chasing a job at the moment. There ain't no youngsters coming into it. You need to encourage that.
Kenton Essex IFCA should look at not only the last 10 years commitment, but like the track record of fishing in the fisheries. Should take into account how long and an applicant has fished for cockles in that area. Maybe a fair way of allocating any future licences and permits would be to look at the application list for the current outside area permit scheme. I'm sure this year there was 28 applicants, 14 of which current TEFCO entitlement holders took part. Why not look at issuing, and this is probably going to be contentious, and I'm not saying do this, but if you say took the 28 people who applied, why not issue 28 entitlements in a new combined fishery?
Primarily, it's experience and track record. I can't see another system that would make it a sensible system.
Well, the answer to my question is I don't think it should be changed. It should be kept the same. It's kept the same, yeah. It works really well.
To have had to have fished the original qualifying years, and for those that have made the sufficient investments into the industry.
In replacing the TECFO, you want to maintain a sustainable fishery, a fishery that allows the fishermen and the fishery to carry on growing and to stay sustainable, and for the foreseeable future.
Well, personal opinion is if you open it to permit fishery, you're going to have literally hundreds of applications. And whilst the regulating order is not ideal by any means, and I've always said that, it's an unfair system really, I can't see any other system that would keep the fishery working.
I don't think there should be any more licences handed out. Definitely no more the suction dredging side of things. I think 14's enough for our area that we've got at the moment. I don't think the stocks would say the same if more was handed out. But definitely I think for myself being a fisherman in the outer season, I do think that there should be some sort of like hand raking or something like that within the shores, just for the fishermen if they wanted to do something.
But the amount of permits, I feel, needs to be capped so that the few can earn a living rather than everybody just earning £5. Yeah?
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. And the other mildly important bit, the licences within the TECFO, I think they should just carry on as they are. I think the TECFO works excellent. I think the regulating order works excellently. And I don't see any advantages to industry, but more importantly, I don't see any advantages to the sustainability of the industry in changing the status quo.
All through the process, Kenton Essex IFCA must try to stay as transparent as possible to all fisher stakeholders. Maybe there should be some Zoom meetings to update fisher stakeholders on the way the process is going further down the line.
To be honest, it seems very thorough. It seems like you're taking everyone's opinion into account. My only concern would be that the decision making, as long as it's made by people that understand the industry, and I'm not just saying from our side, from every angle, they need to make sure that they know that there's an impact not just on the fishermen, but on the processors.
No, it's a good thing. Well, it'd be good that it's a long-term thing, not a decision made overnight. But I don't think I'd like your job at the moment, trying to sort this out, I'll tell you.
We're finding with the whelk fishery is it needs to be flexible, and I think that the cockle fishery would benefit from something like that as well, where it's more flexible. They're quite desperate as an industry in Kent and Essex, not cockle industry, but as a whole fishing industry. We're quite desperate for new fisheries to be opened.
I just think it's another source of income for me. We're struggling, especially for Margate. There's just no souls coming in off Margate no more. I think if I had another little fishery, as I said, I fish for sprats and herrings where I never used to, just to make a living now, you know. I'm getting on a bit now, but I've still got a few more years left in me, you know. So I basically would like the opportunity to fish for them, you know. I love cockles as well.
Well, see, at the moment there's an awful lot of money flying around for processing your stuff, getting a lot more for what you're coming in with. You don't need to catch as much. So if you're processing crabs or processing whelks, or you've got a few whelks to sell, cockles to sell, anything like that you could do for the future, every bit would help and be handy. It would take the pressure off of other things. If you've got one more thing to fish for, it would take the pressure off of other things.
I think it'd be nice to open it up for some new entrants, for some youngsters.
It's just basically the outside area. It doesn't work as well as the inside area, the TECFO area. You know, over the past 27 years, this fishery has evolved. Each year, we try and fix certain problems if there are any, but I think we've got to a stage now where, with industry we care for the fishery, as long as with the brilliant management we get and the support from the IFCA, it is the fishery we've got today.